Well, here we are again. I don't remember where I am or what I'm doing. Alright. So what had we done last time? I really don't remember. I think we had gotten the dream nail. And then we had basically done a re-exploration. Yeah, we went to the Stone Sanctuary. We fought... Yeah, we went and we went back and basically re-explored the whole world before carrying on. So I suppose now it is time to carry on and pick back up on the critical path, so to speak. Which means we have to go down to the City of Tears. So we'll go back down this way. I'm being a little bit quiet because nobody has yet showed up to hang out. Whoops. Okay. Yeah, I dash away from those guys and then I get caught on the wall. Do I have the time wrong? Oh, I guess not. Or was it a mistake not to put out a reminder? Or did people not get notifications? I don't know. Either way. Alright, so we are picking up again the critical path. As I personally feel it is. Though recently I did come to the realization that there are actually two alternative critical paths here. There's sort of two ways that you can get to where you need to go next. And this is one of them. By coming down through the resting grounds, we come over to the other side of the City of Tears. There was a gate in the City of Tears where we met Hornet by the Hollow Knight Fountain, and we couldn't get through it. And now we have the opportunity to get through from the other side. Because the City of Tears is actually divided in two. There's a a west half and an east half. And by coming back here, we can connect the two halves. Though this isn't really our goal. Our actual, hello Kate. Our actual goal is actually an area called the Ancient Basin, which is where we're going to be moving toward in just a moment. And as I said, there's, whoops, I kind of forgot that this happens. Oh, I forgot I upgraded the fireball. Uh-oh. Yes, that still wasn't great. Alright. It's a little quiet anyway, so let's just pretend we started here. with where we had where I had picked up last time. So yeah, we got the dream nail here. Hello Chunk. No, I just died, so it's basically we basically restarted to where I was. Okay. So, recall last time, first of all, just a quick note, this is going to be a little bit, of a shorter stream tonight, probably just for an hour, because I am not feeling well at all tonight. I am very under the weather right now. But anyway. So I was talking about the game's critical path, and there is an interesting branch in the critical path where we're at now, where ultimately our goal is to go to a place below the City of Tears called the Ancient Basin. That's where our next boss fight is, that's where our next upgrade is. And there are actually two paths to get to it. And either one of them is accessible at this point. We could either go through Deep Nest and get the tram pass and then go that way. And I will show off that path. Just not right now. Or the alternative is after we finish the resting grounds, because we just got the dream nail. After you finish the resting grounds, you drop down into the City of Tears, the eastern half of the City of Tears. Because the City of Tears is actually divided in two. There's an east half and a west half. And there's actually a couple of different places where it's divided in two by locked gates. And I cannot see what's... Holy shit. And I still can't heal in the air. Wow. Okay. Yeah, okay. Good evening! So here we are. We are picking up where we left off last time. I still can't dash down. Still... Alright, this... Like, the I don't know how to play the game anymore, because it's been too long excuse, just isn't holding anymore. Okay. Blah, 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 critical path, blah, blah, blah. Two branches, ultimately to go to the Ancient Basin. I think the City of Tears path that we are taking is the more corrector of the two critical paths. And the reason why I think that's the case is because it's what gets us the Dream Nail and also marks the location of the next goal, which is the 3 Dreamers on our map, which we now have marked, by the way. Our map is now marked where we have to find these 3 Dreamers. But we can't access any of them yet. We still need an upgrade, and that upgrade is in the Ancient Basin. Had we gone through Deep Nest first and gone to the Ancient Basin that way, and I will demonstrate what that looks like, but had we done that, we would not have the Dream Nail, nor would we understand the goal of the 3 Dreamers. Alright. I was trying to catch you. This little gauntlet here, this room with multiple enemies showing up, is actually one of the more challenging gauntlets to me. It's a real pain in the ass. And I don't particularly like when they lock you into this room and just into a room and then just drop waves of enemies on you. And also, for some reason, I am having trouble just spotting enemies. And obviously I make... Whoops. Oh. Okay, there we go. And this we did all this for a vessel fragment. Yeah, a vessel fragment, which increases the amount of mana we can carry. So yeah, so I feel that this is the more corrector of the two critical paths, and that the deep nest option, which frankly, the only way to access deep nest at this point is not to, like, there is a way into deep nest other than through the Mantis Lords, but you can't access it until you have the double jump, which we will not get until the Ancient Basin. So the only way to really access Deep Nest is to go back to that optional boss, the Mantis Lords, and fight your way through there, and then fight your way through Deep Nest. And ultimately we would have to fight all the way up to the top of Deep Nest and then all the way back down, and we will do that. The other interesting thing is that I think... You know what? I'm talking ahead of where I am in the game. I really am. Okay. Let's talk about where we are currently. As I noted, the City of Tears is divided in two. There is an eastern half and a western half. And we fully explored the east... Well, we didn't fully explore the eastern half, but there's two connections that go off to the west. Wait. I got east and west mixed up. So we fully explored the western half, but we didn't explore the eastern half yet. And there's two connections that go off to this side. And we will have the opportunity to connect both of them to basically make the City of Tears a corridor from one side of the map to another. Which City of Tears is actually interesting in the whole... looking at the progression of the game and how it gradually changes up the rules on us. Because it is the first time now we have been sent back to an area we have already visited from a completely different direction to a completely unexplored portion of it with a completely different goal. Like, we've been shunted back into the... We did get shunted back into the Forgotten Crossroads. And then we were able to access a different area, but we were able to see that different area right from the beginning. So, this is the first area that's actually serving a sort of double duty, where the first time we passed through... And then we got something, and then we went back to the old areas. We got the downward stomp. And now this time we've come back through, and instead of coming in and then fighting a boss, getting an upgrade, and then going back to where we were, no boss, no upgrade this time. We're instead going to carry on in a completely different direction by another exit we didn't know existed when we came through. So there's sort of this sense of, okay, what we're doing now is we're actually finishing the City of Tears, which we had to leave unfinished. And that'll become important when it comes to the idea of the Dreamer here. Whoops. I forgot how to do these guys. Yeah. Oh, okay. That wasn't good. I forgot how to fight those big guys. Especially because they're one of the rare enemies in this game that does double damage. So you kind of bait out their attack, and then you bounce over them, and then you attack them from behind is one of the easiest ways to do it. Of course, I could also wallop them with spells, because the spells go right through their shields. But this is also where you start to feel the upgrades, or the lack of a nail upgrade, and you're kind of waiting for your next nail upgrade now. Which this game actually does really well. There's a lot of places where the enemies are just starting to get annoying enough, assuming you're following the critical path through the game. The enemies are just starting to get annoying enough that you're kind of just ready for an upgrade. It's like, okay, you know what? I would like to upgrade my nail again now. And we have been told to be on the lookout for pale ore so that we can upgrade our nail again. But I don't think we have actually found a piece of pale ore yet. Or have we? I don't remember. I don't remember if we did the first pale ore upgrade or not yet. I also didn't go back to the shaman or the penitent moth and show her my leveled up there is really no reason to kill every one of these guys, is there? We're just gonna... Black Op, no witnesses. I honestly really love fighting these guys. This is very reminiscent of Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, where it wasn't just like hack and slash away. You had to kind of follow, you know, use the avoid the enemy's shield. I'm really sorry. I am, as I said, I'm not feeling very well tonight. I'm having a lot of trouble concentrating. Yeah, and that's the other thing, is that you can just nuke them. But there are, like, there is a... So this room... I really like this room because it is... Yeah, I'm going to ignore what Hagley just said. Zelda 2, the best 2D Zelda. Zelda 2 is an awesome game that does not deserve to be maligned as it is. Whoops. That said, the best 2D Zelda, that is just patently ridiculous. Everyone, like, first of all, the best 2D Zelda is Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. Okay, which is also actually the best Zelda, period. So, anywho, yeah. And then there's also the hidden golden fatty who drops a lot of money. If they meant side scroll, then like that's an easy title to earn, because Zelda 2 was the only side-scrolling Zelda, famously. And, you know, it's funny because a lot is made of that and how, oh, Zelda 2, it broke the formula. And it's like, Chunk, get out. CD games. CD games. Yeah, get out. Just go. Zelda 2 gets a lot of crap for breaking the formula. First of all, though, there was no formula. So first of all, that's patently false. There was only one game that came before it. Second of all, it was actually fairly common in the Nintendo era to do different things with sequels, at least core Nintendo. Doing, you know, where the sequels were... I keep jumping off the elevator, and now that's not right. I am not... I have to go all the way up to the top. And then... Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay. Well, I'm very distracted now talking about Zelda. Okay. In many ways, Zelda 2 was actually very true to the formula that Zelda 1 had established. Okay, even like putting aside the fact that obviously side-scrolling is different from top-down, the dungeon design was very... I love this guy's name, by the way, Poggy Thorax. It is an awesome name. The dungeon design was actually very similar to the Legend of Zelda, the first one. And the whole wandering the world, getting upgrades to access dungeons, and then, getting items in the dungeons, fighting a boss, and then moving on to the next one, gathering aid of something, yada, yada, yada. Except that the world was much more open. The Zelda, the Adventure of Link world was actually a much more open world, but the progression through it was much more linear. And there was less to find, but most of it was far easier to find. And we can just sit here and listen to the butterfly lady. But we're not going to. She's singing the City of Tears theme. The Ghost of the Butterfly. I'm sure there's lore about this. Anyway, back to the City of Tears and the whole... Oh, no! Millabelle isn't here yet. We're going to have to come find Millabelle later. Okay, I forgot about Millabelle. I must not have... Okay. This, by the way, is the shaft above that elevator. And there is... If we jump up the wall here... I couldn't spot it. I don't know why. Here we go. There is this passage here, but we can't do anything with it. We're just going to zip through. Okay. Right now we can't go any further than that, but there is a secret passage here. But there is also a very handy hot spring. Hot spring and bench here. That... Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's my brilliant commentary on that. But there's a hot spring here. It's convenient. Okay. So, also, this is another very interesting thing about the backside front side, which a lot of side-scrolling video games do, where there are a number of doors that lead into and basically an alternate map. Because that map, the Pleasure House, it sort of exists behind this map, and then it climbs all the way up, and then we come out a door to get into the hot spring. And so there's this sort of double-layered aspect to the map, and I really don't have anything more to comment on about it, except that I find that interesting. It's very reminiscent of, like, Goonies 2, with sort of the front side, back side, except that ran through the entire game, and this is just the one. This is just used in occasional places to create alternate areas. Okay. So now, we can continue, like, the sign is obviously drawing us that way, but we can also continue this way for a bit. Which I will do. We'll go up this little elevator here. Okay. Especially because on the map, we are actually in one of the areas where one of those dreamers exists that we feel we're supposed to find. But now we have a jump that we can't make because we can't jump high enough. So we cannot go any further up, and we are actually directly under that dreamer, suggesting that once we get the double jump, Or suggesting once we find an item that lets us jump higher, we might want to return to this place. And this other spot here, this now lets us connect east and west and brings us back to this fountain where we had encountered Hornet. And of course she had told us that if we want to really save everything, we need to find the grave in ash, which we still don't know what that is. We might guess that it was the graveyard, but the resting grounds, but probably not, because that wasn't particularly ashy. So instead, we will follow the sign and go down below. And had we gone back to Dirtmouth, then Elderbug would be telling us now that there is an area deep below the city that is super ancient, and where like even the whatchamacallit, the rocks crawl as if they're alive or some shit like that. But so now we have a long descent and shadowy, shroudy, smoky bubbles coming up from it. Uh-oh. Ah! I clipped the spikes. It is actually much easier to collect everything when you come back, but that ain't how I roll. I can't leave stuff uncollected and be like, oh, I'll just get this money later. So and dropping down, there's lots of spikes, and oh, that's a broken elevator at the bottom. I forgot that was there. And then we have another one of these whispering roots. And so we can take a little platforming challenge to go gather up all the essences, which again would be a lot easier to do if we waited until later. Particularly one jump, which is really, really nasty. It's this spot right here that is actually, well, okay. Also, just like not falling back down to the bottom is kind of tricky, because you do the jitterbug and you miss every platform. But this spot here, it's actually really hard not to over jump and then end up jumping on the... Speaking of which, my cousin is currently playing this game. And she is having a really good time with it. But she ended up going through Deep Nest, like many newbies do, early, and then came up through here without having found the broken vessel. And so she had to climb all the way back up into the City of Tears without basically this climb that I'm doing. She had to do it, but as a new player. Did I miss an essence somewhere? Was there one at the top that I missed? I didn't hear the sound because my sound is turned way down low. Okay, there's nothing above. So we'll just have to drop back down. But I swear I got them all. Chat, did we hear the... Oh, no, it's up there. Okay. That's it. That was the last one. I missed that one on the way up. Okay. And now we can just miss all the platforms. And then again, we get a little lore message. This was the way the servants had to go. Which is why the elevator hasn't been serviced and it's covered in spikes. And I didn't tap the button fast enough. Because we can get... There is a little hidden item here. Okay. Chat's a little bit laggy tonight. That's okay. Oh, no! Oh. This is a miserable night. This is just miserable. I'm not happy about this. It's fine. Now I gotta be careful not to drop onto the top of the elevator because it has spikies on top. Okay. And then just one thing suddenly stopped leading to another as I'm just navigating this drop. Okay. There's not a whole lot, like, this is one of those periods where there's just not a whole lot to say about the way the game is designed. We're just now following a path, right? Down deeper into the darkness. Though it is very clear, it is very atmospheric. The rising clouds and smoke. I feel like I don't know. It seems like it's more like there's a lot more visual mess. Did they patch it? Right? Okay. I hate that guy. But money. I do like the flying enemies are such a pain in the ass. Especially the guys who they like keep backing away. Right? Which it's like obviously it entices you to use your spells. Like if you're a smart person, you just keep using your spells. But I'm not a smart person. Also, I just keep letting these bugs just run right into me. I don't even know what the hell I'm doing. I'm a mess tonight. Yeah, in terms of vibes, Ancient Basin is my favorite. Honestly, I think it's my least favorite. It's very, like, I find it very dull. It is really just, when you get down to it, a dark cave. Which is why I'm struggling to say anything really about it. We do have another tram pass. We've now found several of those tram passes, by the way. And there is... And before we drop down into the shining light, if we actually explore this way... Oh, okay, so here's... So first interesting thing is, if you dash right into those enemies, you will take damage. Okay, so these guys are Molochs, by the way, or Molochs, or Murlocs, or whatever, which are basically the Mook version of the brooding Moloch. Ah, fuck this. I'm really out of it tonight. All right. I'm really sorry. This is just a disaster stream all around. I don't have any... I'm struggling to have any interesting observations to make. I'm feeling a bit negative, and I just keep dying and doing the same parts over and over again. I am really sorry. So... But also, I really appreciate that people enjoy coming and hanging out on Sunday nights. I really do enjoy doing these streams, and it's a good social outlet for me. And I like to think that most of the time I do actually have something interesting to say about what I'm doing. But, so I don't want to just like cancel or cut it short. So we're just gonna stick this out for a bit. Okay. So what can I say the about the ancient base? Well, okay. So as I said, the critical path leads us down through the City of Tears, and then drops us in this new area, which it is. It does represent. It is kind of like there is a very dark creepiness to it, and even the lack of music. Like there's not really. Like it really does something that it's hard for me to notice because I have the sound turned down low. I had forgotten that there is basically no music down here. It is just ambience. Which kind of lends to this vibe of descending down into... Well, okay, so... Yeah, the walls and floor are made out of dead bugs also. The chat's now trying to help me find things to say. Like, maybe this sets up the next area. What does this do? Maybe it's this. Maybe it's that. Alright. Here is really the thing. Okay. Because this game has a theme of kind of unearthing history, and you've sort of been, like, obviously, descent, the farther down you go, like, the older and older things get, right? Like, that's paleontology, that's archaeology, that's everything. So the farther down you go, the more secrets you will find. And we have been zigzagging up and down and all around, but generally working our way down. And what we have done now by coming down here is we are basically the deepest that we have been. In fact, we are deeper than Deep Nest, even though we didn't explore Deep Nest, and at this point, Deep Nest is a fairly optional area. I'm also trying not to get killed again, because I don't want to keep doing the same things over and over again. Okay, so the fact that this area is very deep, it is dark, it is atmospheric, and it also has, like, in the background, you can see those great big seals, and we have now seen those a few times, but we don't know quite what they are yet. It implies that we are getting close to some of the deepest mysteries in this game. That this is the point where things will be revealed. Which is sort of funny, because it isn't, but it is. Okay, like, oh, by the way, this is cloth, and I should talk about the NPC paths too. Okay. So, the lack of music and the heaviness of the area and the stillness of the area and the darkness of the shadows, and now we start to see the looming infection, right? Like the infection is clearly heavy behind us, whatever. Yeah, okay. Oh, damn. Please, if I die again, I'm gonna be so pissed. I am so pissed. How am I sucking this much? Should have written a script for this. What's interesting about the Ancient Basin, I think, and this only becomes interesting once you kind of really know the story, is that because of the presence of the big blobby infection blobs in the ancient basin, it starts to imply... Yeah, I knew I was just going to drop right on that guy if I tried to drop blind. It starts to imply, it gives the incorrect impression that the ancient basin is where the infection started. And in fact, the ancient basin, there's actually a couple of... Yeah, that was great. There's actually a couple of ways in which this area really misleads you, but I can't talk about them until we finish it. It is a very misleading area. Okay? Because right now it represents the depths. It represents the deepest point, the kingdom's buried secrets that we are now about to unearth. Which makes sense. We're ready for that, right? After all, the game has now revealed to us that our goal is going to be to do some, like, probably beat those 3 bosses that it put on the map for us, and then go beat that other boss that started off the game by screaming in the black egg. So it makes sense that down here we are going to get the final thing, whatever it is that we need, to you know, do whatever we need to do. That this is it. You know, we're getting ready for the final the final battle. We're ramping up to end the game. The end is nigh. We're going to make a big discovery down here, and then I don't need to go back up there again, do I? Oh, I do. That's going up there is the right direction. But I don't need to go back up where Cloth was. So, like, at this point, we would be forgiven for thinking the end is nigh. We are just about ready to wrap up this game. We're going to find something important here. Oh, we're locked in, huh? Didn't know that. Let me get a healing. Let me get a healing. Oof. Alright. We're just going to run back and forth. We're going to get a couple of heals in. Alright, come on, guys. Don't... Okay, it's fine. Oh, come the... I have never played this badly. Even when I played this the first time, I didn't play it this badly. Like, you've seen me do good things, like, actually win stuff, right? You know what's funny? Is I don't care. Like, I'm not here to show off my skills. I don't give a crap. I don't have anyone to impress here. I know what I can do. So I don't get embarrassed. Oh, Biscuit's going to come. That's going to add an extra layer of challenge. Okay? I'm not trying to impress anyone. But this is actually genuinely embarrassing and frustrating now. Like, I can't even laugh at it. Alright, and I got a cat. Can you settle? Can you sit down? Yeah, find your spot and sit. I know. With her big floppy collar on. I can't see around your head. This... I am the worst streamer on YouTube. I can't play the game. Muting. I had to mute the microphone because Biscuit was nuzzling the microphone, and I didn't want to do that to everybody. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm the worst streamer on YouTube. I can't play the game I'm playing. I can't talk about the game I'm playing. I have to stop to talk to my cat. Also, I am not a sexy young lady. I don't even have a webcam. So even if I was a sexy young lady, you couldn't see me. Like, I am doing the streaming totally wrong. Okay. You know what? I don't have to deal with all of you. Okay. So what were we talking about? Themes of descent, themes of secrets unearthed, and we can see that this place is heavy and ancient, and it has... Oh, I do have to go back this way. Okay. Heavy and ancient. It is full of the husks of dead bugs, as was pointed out. It is also... Right. This time we're going to do it right. There was also a lot of significant archaeology and architecture. Architecture is the word I'm looking for. The architecture in the background is also very large and imposing, and it has sort of a... What we will learn is there is a royalty theme to it. You can see it's got sort of a crowned bug theme just going right there. Alright. Got one of you. We are not doing this again. It's just that easy. And then we also get this kind of implied source of the infection thing, and then we find this, a pale ore, because as I noted above, we are now getting to the point where a lot of the enemies are becoming kind of damage sponges, and I dashed in the wrong direction there. A lot of the enemies are getting kind of tanky and damage spongy, and we're ready for an upgrade, and so here's an upgrade for us. Except that, rather cruelly, we are not really in a position to use the pale ore, because we would have to climb all the way back up to the City of Tears to do so. And that climb to get back up to the City of Tears is actually designed to be pretty nasty if you don't have the thing that you find down here. Okay, it's purposely designed, especially that one little jump in the middle. It is purposely designed so that once you make this descent, you stay down here. And that's not uncommon in Metroidvania-type games. Also, the game didn't give us the name of the area until now. Okay, that is actually not uncommon, and I've mentioned it before as an approach to preventing the player from getting overwhelmed or trying to prevent them from leaving a place before they have something important. Because the whole point of designing a game like this is that you do not want the players to ever feel frustrated in how lost they are. You do want the players to feel lost, but you don't want them to ever feel so lost that they are frustrated. You want them to feel the good kind of lost. Like, I'm going to wander and see what I find kind of lost. And so, at times, it is important to keep the player from making mistakes that would lead them into that state, like leaving an area without a critical upgrade, especially at a time late in the game where they could start to go back and re-explore multiple areas and check, I made a terrible mistake by giving all my money to the fountain because I also didn't have enough money. My money game is off, honestly. Oh. And there's another one of those signs in another place where we can't quite jump high enough. And then there's a down. Okay. So, the classic example of that is Super Metroid, which everyone knows, where once you drop down into Lower Brinstar, to near to where Kraid is, you can't make the climb up until you've found the ice beam again, and so you have to go through this series of power-up acquisitions. you know, which ultimately end with you getting the ice beam, and then you can climb your way back out, and then you have the opportunity to then re-explore the area with three or four different power-ups that you had acquired down there. And it just prevents you from doing that whole, I'm going to go explore the whole world now to see where the next path is. And the Ancient Basin does the same thing, especially because the moment the boss and the power-up that we're going to get is actually significant. But also it's not, but, well, that's a real kick in the dick, isn't it? Well, now we have to make sure we don't die. Mistakes were made. I really do know how to play this game, and I know how it's laid out and stuff, guys. Okay. And you can see now, too, that, like, so the tree roots coming down from above, or whatever the hell they are, the ambience is getting heavier. There is definitely an implication of, you know, ongoing descent. We are about as deep as we're ever going to be. And also, obviously the orange goo that is clearly what is causing all of the problems is becoming more and more prevalent to the point where it's taking on a life of its own. Like those little guys running away. The only thing that annoys me about this area is that it's dark enough that it's actually kind of hard to see. And I have a real issue with... Sweetie, yeah, okay. If I don't have a bench right now, so if I die down here, it ruins the whole stream. So, you gotta, damn it, gotta work with me here. Okay. Oh. I think there's a secret to find down here. Yeah, there is. Another simple key. But this... When we get finished down here, it actually marks a major transition in the structure and design of the game. Which is why the game has actually sort of descended to just a rather linear area of just, you know, kind of progress through this place, progress through the hallways, that kind of a thing. I'm really nervous now about facing the upcoming boss in my current state. Only because it's not a boss that gives me a lot of trouble, but sometimes I do have a little bit of trouble with it. But at the same time, I noticed like folks like Hagley who had not had a chance to play Hollow Knight, were inspired to start playing Hollow Knight and have gotten near the end or have finished the game. And now, hopefully, my lack of ability makes them feel better about how much better they were when they played the game, that they may have been a little nervous to play it first because they heard that it's a very, very hard game. So, alright. And Biscuit is departing. Alright, and now we can go back, and we're going to go back, and we are going to definitely unlock the bench. That's the first thing we're going to do, so that if I do die... Okay. Good. So what this area does really well is it actually does do a good sense of building to a climax. Because we are building to a climax right now. We just don't quite fully appreciate or understand it, at least consciously. There's a phrase I love that came from Red Letter Media and some of the Mr. Plinkett reviews where it's, you may not understand this, but your brain does. Like, everything about the way this whole area is set up and designed and everything is to get you in this state of a building to an important transition or an important climax. Even if you don't know it consciously. As I said, you reach the lowest point of the map, the signs of the infection are here, the game is quiet now, right? Though, probably should shut up a bit so that I don't get myself killed and just like lock in on this fight. Oops. Oops. Alright, we just headbutted each other in midair. Okay, alright, I'm just kind of stuck where I am. It's fine. Gonna take advantage of this to do a quick heal. I definitely, like, usually when I do this, I'm pretty sure I do have another sword upgrade. Okay. Yeah, see, that was a disaster. Hello, Avatar Cliffy. Biscuit is still not feeling better. Yeah, I was worried about how that was going to go. That did not go well at all. I definitely... I didn't even comment, because I got distracted by the fight. But also the very interesting thing about, like, this being like a mirror of you, because he's wearing your same little cloak and he has your same little hat on, or your same little mask, except he's broken and then he gets filled with the goo and he fights you. And there's like this mirror match idea, but it's also a dark, it's an infected reflection of you that you are fighting, which is important foreshadowing, right? And this is also the moment where a lot of stuff changes. And now we see this weird statue, right? And now we have the double jump. And there is no better item in any platforming, exploration-based game than the double jump. Getting the double jump is always the best, right? Okay, we could actually enter his dream now. That's what the little dream wheels, which by the way they're not wagon wheels. They are meant to evoke dream catchers. But that's what those little essences are telling us, that we could go fight dream version of Broken Vessel. Okay. So now we have the double jump, which is a very significant item because we have found a couple of places where we can... that we know we're going to need to double jump. And interestingly, we're not actually really finished yet. But what we might be thinking now... You know, the sort of, you didn't notice it, but your brain does. Whoops, didn't quite land that. What we might be thinking now is that we're going to go now and we're going to go fight. Okay, now we have what we need to kind of start to do the wrap-up, right? We're in the final stretch. We fought that mirror version of ourselves. We may not understand what it meant, but it got infected and it attacked us. We have come to the kingdom's lowest point, and now we are ready to climb back out, because we have the double jump, so we can climb back out, right? And then we can now go find those 3 dreamers. We know one of them we definitely needed the double jump to find. Another one is hidden behind Deep Nest, which we may not know how to get to, but we can now get to Deep Nest with the double jump without actually needing to beat those Mantis Lords, which is an optional fight. Oh, and we need to go to the palace too. And I'm like standing in the enemy, and it's just like, yeah, no, it's fine. Just keep hitting me. That's fine. Oh, and corner for left, so we're gonna have to buy the map. We're gonna have to go back upstairs and buy the map. But that's okay. Whoops. Alright, but we can also go up here now. And here's where we argue about the whatchamacallit, the fast travel again. But first, so this is the palace grounds. And you probably noticed that the palace grounds is an empty ruin with a single gate. And then there is just this dark creature with a crown-like head and the essence on him, so we know we try to dream nail it. But we're supposed to understand that we are being blocked. Like, the dream nailing is not working. And since we've already learned that we need to power up our dream nail by getting essence, that kind of suggests that it's, we'll want to come back here once we do get the... Oh, you suck. Well, that's fine. I didn't want to use this anyway. Because this is stupid. So this hidden station, by the way, I need to comment on a couple of things. First of all, the spools of silk back there tie into a bit of lore. Okay? But also, that transit station was not in the original game. It was patched in. And I think Team Cherry made a mistake in doing that. Because the proper way to go from here is now to climb back up to the City of Tears. Okay. It's actually really good that you do that for navigation purposes, for not getting lost. Whereas if you just take the train now and ride out, you're in a pretty bad position for figuring out where to go next. Because as we climb our way back out, we're now thinking, okay, I got the double jump, I got the final item, and now everything is ready. I can go beat those 3 bosses, beat the final boss. But I do have to climb back out. And having that be a challenge of climbing back out, yeah, guys, you know what? I was going to let you live, but you didn't leave me alone. So screw you. Abyss shrieks to the face for both of you. You could have just let me go. And this area is deliberately designed to be difficult to climb until you have the double jump. And then the double jump actually makes it really easy to just get all the way back up to the top. Lickety-split. I didn't want to deal with you guys either. That's why I keep running out of money. And so now we emerge back here in the City of Tears. And the first smart thing to do would be to immediately go to a bench. Right? Like, that would be the smart thing to do. Would be immediately to go to the nearest bench we can remember, which is in the train station. Or perhaps the one in the whatchamacallit. Oh, did I go this way? Yeah, this is another thing. This is another broken station. And there was a little secret passage here, but that we don't know about that yet. So it's fine. We didn't find that yet. Oh, and then there's this other thing. So this is a really this is a little tricky one, right? Because here's a gate, and we know all about gates at this point. We need to find a lever to open a gate. But that one is weird because there is no lever. There's just a hidden path. And putting the gate there is just a little bit of tricksiness that makes it a little bit harder to figure out how to get in there. Because you don't look for secret passages when there's a gate. You wait until you find the lever, right? That's how gates work. We've learned that already. So it demonstrates this pattern that people have where once you decide what the solution looks like, it becomes very, very difficult for you to consider alternate solutions. And so, me as an example, I did not find a way to get that money in my first playthrough. And I know this is such a small thing to comment on, but I was never able to get in to find that money. And then I eventually got frustrated and forgot about it because I was looking for a gate. Or I was looking for a lever. And I think that's done intentionally, and it's clever. And I just want to comment on that. Now, with the actually, before we do this, and this is where I think the Ancient Basin actually does something smart. Well, I think the whole game does a lot of smart things. I shouldn't say it actually does something smart. I think everything the game does is pretty smart. But here is a very smart thing that the Ancient Basin did. If we fully explored the Ancient Basin, we now have pale ore, plus we have some relics to sell to Lem. And so while we might be inclined to immediately go up those elevators and do the whole double jump thing, we also want to walk over to Lem and get some money. And as we walk over to Lem, we also have a simple key. And if we hadn't already opened this gate with one of the previous simple keys, we can now go there and notice the marking on there, which is another one of those, I'm going to call it a monarch fly, because that's actually what it is. It's a monarch fly. So it's one of those crowned three-winged flies, the same ones we saw down in the Ancient Basin that held the double jump. Alright, so we're going to get, and hopefully this gives us enough money that we can actually turn in our pale ore. And so, what the game has done now is distracted us from acting on the double jump that we just acquired. It's like, okay, but before I do that, I'm going to go level up my sword, and I'm going to go turn in my relics, and there's a key, and that looks interesting. Not to mention the fact that yeah, okay. Because what has subtly shifted now, and we don't realize it yet, but we will come to realize it soon, is that at this point, the game is no longer a Metroidvania. It is an open-world game with Metroidvania elements. The map is now very open to us. Not completely open, but very open. There are a lot of different directions we can go from here. And the game is sort of loosening up on the direction. And that's because it wants us to go and beat the three dreamers and, go explore, find those three guys and take care of them and then go beat the game. And we can do that stuff in any order. It's very similar to what Metroid Prime does at the end, where it now wants you to go look for all the Metro or the Chozo artifacts, and then open the way to the final boss. That's exactly what this is doing now. Okay. And technically, we can now kind of beat the game. We can't quite. We are going to run into one obstacle at one point. So we can't quite beat the game, but we can get pretty close. And then there are two ways to resolve that little issue. But there was also what Hornet said to us earlier, that if we really want to help things, then we should go find the grave in Ash. And we don't know what that means. But it's sort of... How do you describe it? It's... So, yeah, here... Whoops, no, I don't want to go up there. Okay. So that whole grave and ash thing is sort of like a goal you're meant to forget. Right? Because now we're supposed to go sort of wind toward... I know I keep repeating the same idea of the game is basically implying that we have a certain quest now, and we have the tools we need to do it, so we should go do it. And, you know, the most obvious way is to climb up here. And there is no way in hell I'm actually going to beat the Watcher Knights in my underpowered state. But hopefully I have also learned at this point that it is okay not... Well, you know, we'll come to that. Okay. Okay, we're going to keep exploring for a little while. We're using our double jump now, because this is what you do, right? We have the double jump. We use the double jump to explore more thoroughly. And figure out where we're supposed to go next. And man, I am getting a lot of mileage out of the powered up fireball. It's extremely powerful. Like, it even takes out, like, partly because I have the power stone equipped. I just spammed it at the end. Right, and then that lever opens up the gate up above. Alright, you come down here. Okay. Alright, I'm getting back into the groove of thing. Oh no, that didn't open that gate. Oh, that opened this gate. Okay. And then that guy comes running out of the darkness and smacks you in the face, which is fun. And then the fat guy. Little fat dandy guy. I like the way those guys, like, they have to warm up their little hop, because they're a little bit too fat, so they gotta warm up that little jump. Yep, okay. Right, and then this opens this gate. And so again, we're back into the theme of City of Tears, where we're kind of winding our way back and forth to open up, basically open up all the paths. Right? And we got an elevator there, but we can go over to the right first. And ultimately that culminates in opening up this path. And now the City of Tears is completely connected from left and right and serves as a corridor between the two halves of the map completely. It is fully open to us now. We can use it as... Basically, it is the bottom of the map equivalent of the Forgotten Crossroads. And I don't know why I insisted that I had to kill that guy, but I did. I didn't like him. He was mean. Okay? I am going to go up here and it's going to be a disaster. And that's not me saying, oh, this is just going to be hard. This is... The Watcher Knights are my kryptonite. There's a boss called the Watcher Knights. They are my absolute kryptonite. They are the hardest boss for me in the game. Hands down, bar none. Other than the Pantheon bullshit that I can't be bothered with. Because that's like, what if I was playing this game in the most boring way possible? I'm going to die down here, aren't I? Alright. Okay. Smart money's on heal. Smart money's on heal. Charge up. Smack that guy. Smart money's also on just blast that guy in the face. Right. Alright. And I'm going to show off the Watcher Knights if you, like, imagine you're a goal-oriented player and you're like, okay, I have my tools, I'm right here, I'm going to go chase the goal. And then we're going to talk about what if you're a more normal human player. Okay. So here are the Watcher Knights. And this is what happens in here. And I know about the chandelier and I didn't do it. Okay. This guy comes to light. Whoops. And then... Ooh. Okay. And then what happens is this. Right? They keep coming to life. And there are a total of 6 of them. Okay, and they are absolutely my kryptonite. I just cannot manage that many targets. Okay, I have a strategy for beating them, but it is not fighting them fair. I will say that. Okay. So, but let's say now that I'm not that goal-oriented, or I have gotten frustrated with the Watcher Knights. Yeah. Okay. Kate keeps offering, like the, the optimal strats here. And the reason I don't really comment on that stuff is because I'm trying to talk about this game from, like, the normal player perspective. Where, yeah, there's nothing... I can get the shade back. I'm not super worried about the shade. But I can get the shade back. Okay. We're not going to super worry about the shade. The shade is gone, it's gone. Okay. Which this does, and I think we already talked about the whole issue with the shade and the whole corpse running and how it kind of, like, in this particular case, I don't want to go back and fight that boss. I want to go explore in a different direction. And I believe the game wants me to explore in different directions at this point. And the corpse running aspect hurts that. Okay. So there is an alternate thought pattern at this point in the game, where the structure of the game has changed, and it's now, okay, here, you now have all the tools, because you have done the climax, you have gone down to the bottom, and now everything that is left is places that you've already been or need to finish, which is not true, but it is a fair thought to have as you come to this area for the first time. Right? And so there is a thought pattern that goes like this. Alright, I have everything I need. I could conceivably now go chase down these 3 bosses. But also, this is an exploration game. And I have learned gradually through playing this game that there are alternate paths and other places to go and hidden bosses, and I really didn't need to purchase that, but you got to purchase one. And there's hidden paths and other places to go, and I will find other power-ups, and I will find more masks, and maybe, you know, more pale ore, and maybe more this, and more spells, and more things. And so before I launch into the final, basically the final checklist, maybe I'm going to go and do a sort of victory lap around the world and go now with the double jump and everything else I've got, get all the stuff that I otherwise may have missed in my travels. And if you do that, then, you know, like I said, the first thing we do is we go turn in our relics to Lim, and then we go use our pale ore, and then the next thing we notice is this sewer right here. And so we might decide that, okay, we'll go in this direction and see what's down here. Okay. Or we might head back up to Dirtmouth and then start exploring in other directions from there. There's also significant discoveries to be made, but I'm doing this path because I find the sewers the most convenient. So that's the thought pattern. It's like, well, let's now explore the terrible sewers because it's convenient and because I'm right here. And I'm not quite ready to wrap up yet, especially if I threw myself into those Watcher Knights at least once. And I do think they are designed to be one of the a particularly nasty boss where it's like, oh yeah, I do not want to do this at all. This is awful. You know, that level of crowd control is not something on really tanky enemies. Isn't something the game has asked you to do much of. And they are very fast, and they are very powerful. So, and meanwhile we find the dung caves, right? Bah! Oops, sorry. I didn't mean to spoil it. Yeah, I'm gonna stand right on him. Okay. One of my favorite bosses in the game. I love the Dung Defender. Can't hit him, but... Oops. Uh-oh. What am I doing? I'm like standing right on top of him. I'm like, please, burst out of the ground and do damage to me. Alright. You have to be careful when you stand next to him while he's doing that dung throw. Because you have to basically stand right at the edge of your reach. Or else you're close enough that he'll clip your forehead with one of those dung balls. But what helps you with that is the knockback when you attack him. I'm not doing so great here. I'm not doing terrible, but it's not great. Oh, I kicked him into phase 2. Actually managing him okay, honestly. A little bit of a rough start, but... Oops. See, and that's what I mean right there, is that if you're too close to him, he'll clip you right in the forehead with one of his little dung balls. So you kind of have to manage the range. That wasn't so bad. Now, I will be honest, this is one of the spots in the game where I don't really like how it handles things. Because we now flick this lever, and then it does a thing. And it's like sucking up acid, or the basin is filling with acid, or something like that. And now we're back in this drop-off for the ancient basin that we don't have a map for. Okay, and we don't want to go that way. If we have not yet gone another way, then we don't know the path that we just opened. And I feel that that breaks like a core convention of exploration-based gameplay, where you always want to show someone the key, the lock, before you show them the key. Because there is an area that was flooded with acid that we can now access because we beat the Dung Defender. But the way this map is laid out, it is very unlikely that you find that before you find the Dung Defender. Because I've just kind of been wandering around this area in a fairly natural way. I've just been kind of following the paths and the tunnels. And the way that we can go forward, or the path that we just opened, is actually further down here. I hate those little guys. They're called pill flips. And when you hit them, they like the first. They're actually it's actually a really fun, clever thing with them. Okay, so he runs back and forth is his one mode, and then if you hit him once, he flips over, and then he becomes a jumper. And then if you hit him again, he flips over and becomes a walker. And his name is Pill Flip, which is a palindrome. It's a word that's spelled the same forward and back. Okay. And this is it. This is... Well, no, this is not it. Oh, wait. But I somehow saved it anyway. I made a terrible, terrible mistake. Okay. You're going to be very unhappy if you find your way all the way down there, sir. Sir, I would have stopped. Okay. Alright, I think he had a bad day. Okay. Actually, these guys too, when you hit them, they inflate. It's kind of funny down here that you have... Oh, and then there's the guys... Oh, isn't that neat? You know, I never noticed that before. So, down in the sewer area, and this is, by the way, the place where it would be flooded if we hadn't hit that lever. It would be flooded with acid. But it's very... And we can see the pipe that is pumping off the acid now. Up here. Right? So anyway. So I noticed that there's a very interesting enemy theme going on in the sewers. Because we have those little inflatable guys, right? That you hit them and then they puff up and float around. And you have the pill flips that you hit them and they change combat state. And then you have the running maggots where you kill them and then they split in half and become a chargy guy and a flying guy. And there's like this little theme of enemies that hitting them changes how they operate, right? That's it. And by the way, that brings us back up to the City of Tears, to that area. You saw. Okay. So, this area is kind of neat because... Nope. I lost that sentence. You know what? We're going to wrap up this area, and then I'm going to accept the fact that I am not in a good state for streaming, and I'm going to call it a night. Even though I did sort of I did handle the broken vessel pretty well and the dung defender pretty well, despite a really rough start to this stream where I just was getting myself killed left, right, and center. Oh shit. I forgot there's a gauntlet down here. Alright. Oh, that wasn't so bad. Okay. I'm no longer sweating taking damage. It's fine. Okay. So this also represents an interesting turning point when you discover this. And there's another item like this. But if you follow along with my basic thesis that the broken vessel down in the ancient basin represents the turning point where the game is sort of suggesting that you are essentially done, and now it is time to go beat the 3 bosses and then beat the final boss, and then say goodbye unless you want to do a victory lap around the world and just explore and power yourself up before you finish that up, before you finish everything up. Then discovering that item, the Ismus tier that repels acid, it sort of breaks that thesis. Because while you might be expecting, say, another, like, you might be expecting another, some masks or charms or this or that or the other thing. What you might not be expecting is another upgrade. Like another actual significant traversal power, something that gives you access to new places. So that might be the first place where you might suspect that maybe you're not reading things properly. Because the game also does want you to do that, though maybe not. Like, the game, it goes back to that forgotten goal. For people who have beaten Hollow Knight, you know now that there are actually 2 endings. So this spoiler alert for the end of the game, but then you're watching a dude stream literally the entire game and talk about the design of the game. So at this point, if you were concerned about spoilers, you would not be here. Alright. Hollow Knight follows in the tradition of exploration-based games of having 2 different endings. A bad ending fake out, and then a real, true, good ending. And the way these games work is that if you take the game at face value and just do the stuff the game implies you need to do, you will eventually fight a final boss, beat it, think you have beaten the game, and then you will get an ending that you are expected to recognize doesn't seem like a very, very good ending at all. It seems like kind of maybe a sort of depressing ending or an incomplete ending, or that it feels off somehow. It does not feel fully rewarding. And then what it wants you to do is go back and try to figure out what it was you missed or what you did wrong, so that you can now make the conditions happen to get the true ending. And the major introduction of that into the whole Metroidvania space was also the game that introduced the term Metroidvania, which is Castlevania Symphony of the Night, where if you just take the game at face value and do what it suggests you do, you will eventually end up killing a final boss that does not seem like a final boss at all and probably should not have been killed, only to get a pretty lame ending, and then be left to wonder what it was that you had done wrong. And then you go back and you explore and you find the things that you missed, And in doing so, you get some instructions for maybe how you could handle things a little bit differently. And then you fight the final boss in a different way that reveals that there is actually a true hidden boss. And then it reveals, in Castlevania Symphony of the Night's case, it went really overboard because it then revealed an entire other hidden second half to the game that if you didn't beat the game properly, you would not even know existed. Like, there's 50% of the game you would have missed. Hollow Knight does exactly the same thing, where if we just go ahead now and go find those watchers and do what we need to do, and then beat the final boss, we will get an unsatisfying and fairly incomplete ending. And then we are meant to wonder what it is that we should have done differently. We might reload our save, or you might not realize it, by the way. And you might just think, okay, I finished the game and all is well. Or you might reload your save and suspect that maybe there's more to this than what's going on. Okay. Oh, I guess we're going to fight the worst, stupidest, dumbest, lamest boss in the game. Not worst in that it's hard, just worst in that it's really, really dull. This is the Fluke Marm. A really, really boring, terrible boss. It just hangs there and then launches screamy maggots. And here is the thing with Fluke Marm. Okay, if you have upgraded your sword enough that you can kill those maggots in one hit, the screamy maggots, then this fight is easy. Except that I'm in danger of losing it anyway, aren't I? Yeah, okay, I lost it. Then it's super easy. Alright. Well, that sucked. That's what I get for saying things. I should just shut my mouth. Okay. So again, we are supposed... So, where was I? We were talking about the... I really hate those erratic flying enemies. I also... This whole area is disgusting, and the sound design is awful in this area, and sewer areas are always the worst, and this is the worst of the worst. I hate this area. It's gross. It sounds horrible. All of the monsters sound like somebody is violently plunging a toilet off camera. Okay, Fluke Marm is disgusting. The fluke phase, those little flying screamy flukes, are absolutely too fast and too erratic. This area is miserable. The only good thing is that you can kill these maggots sticking out of the ground. And yeah. Okay. See, and this is what we do. We just take out the little fly fluke. Don't get overwhelmed. Once you get overwhelmed, you're kind of screwed. Okay. I can't believe this. Fuck this. Stream's over. That's it. I cannot believe Fluke Marm is the thing that is killing the stream. We will come back to this next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. I ended up hanging out for a bit longer than I expected. But yeah, I'm in a frustrated and not feeling very well state. So I'm going to ask everybody to forgive me if I call the stream a little bit early and just say, see you all next week and thank you for hanging out. Everybody take care.